Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners. At this time, if everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, will you please take the roll?
President Riley, absent. Vice President Janner.
Here.
Commissioner Egan.
Present.
Commissioner Ensign.
Here.
Commissioner Heidi.
Here.
Commissioner Todd.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Matters from the public. Jackie, has anyone from the public signed up to speak tonight?
No.
Okay, let's move on to updates and reports. The first report will be the Riverwalk Commission update. Commissioner Heidi.
Thank you, Vice President Janner. The Riverwalk Commission met yesterday. And believe it or don't, the Riverwalk is 35 this year. In 1981, it was conceived and executed by a group of volunteers. And all but the most prescient among that group could scarcely predict the impact that the Riverwalk would have on the city of Naperville. Today, it's known far and wide as one of the top outdoor attractions in DuPage County, and it continues to be a major economic driver for the city. What better time than this year, I might add, to renovate and enhance the Riverwalk Cafe? But I digress. The Commission will be planning a 35th anniversary recognition campaign in conjunction with Positively Naperville and the Park District. This might include placards placed at various locations on the Riverwalk with before and after photographic depictions. There will also likely be several events that will be open to the public. In other business, the city will soon be presenting us with an update to the Riverwalk maintenance agreement. The new agreement will reflect the added responsibilities that are brought about by the Water Street project. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Heidi. The next report will be the Finance Committee update. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Vice President Janner. The Finance Committee met on February 10th. The agenda included a Sawyer-Falduto investment review. However, due to scheduling issues, this item is moved to our March meeting. At that time, we will review the 2015 year-end results and the results we will have seen through February 2016. We reviewed the unaudited 2015 fund balance results. I am happy to report that the actual results for the General Fund, Recreation Fund, and Golf Fund are much better than we budgeted. These positive results were largely due to the Park District's efforts to reduce expenses. Also, the lower total cost of fuel, utilities, and water played a role. With respect to water specifically, due to the weather, we did not use as much water for irrigation in 2015, and we only had to fill the beach once, as we did not experience the same amount of evaporation that we have experienced during hotter summers. In sum, we budgeted to transfer $260,708 into the capital budget, but actually transferred, wait for it, $1.2 million. It's great work for staff. Thank you so much. Director Stanish updated us with respect to the 2015 IMRF investment returns. We did have results that were positive, as in greater than zero. However, the return was 0.32%, which does not meet the 7.5% actuarial return, and as a result, we will experience an interest charge. The Finance Committee was provided the 3-year financial plan. We reviewed the assumptions for that plan at a high level and will continue that discussion with the entire board during the next regular meeting. The board may recall that from the last regular meeting, I took back 2 items to the committee for discussion. The first item was with respect to long-term service contracts and our policy or practices for doing RFPs. The financial policy on purchasing and bidding was included in everyone's packet. The policy on RFP procedures does not address the frequency for seeking RFPs for professional services. These agreements and relationships created as a result of them are unique in nature and don't lend themselves to one specific policy for doing RFPs. However, the contract with our auditors is the only long-term professional service contract that the Park District has in place. With respect to that agreement, we went out for bid in 2010, and as a result switched away from Sickett to Lauterbach and Amon. The contract we entered into in 2010 was for a 3-year term with 2 one-year renewals. After careful consideration, the Park District recently entered into a second agreement with Lauterbach and Amon, and for another 3-year term with renewal capability. In contrast, our agreement with Ansel Glink, our council, is not a long-term service contract. It is an at-will agreement. The second item I brought back to committee was a discussion of our payroll internal controls. Director Stanish and Director Seppi reviewed the payroll controls at length with the committee and the interplay between HR and finance that is required to set up new employees and also to issue bonuses. We discussed what occurred in Dixon, Illinois, and contrasted that situation from the controls that we have in place here at the Park District. After the review by the committee agreed that the controls in place were adequate to prevent errors and the potential for nefarious activity. But at this time, I will turn the floor over to Director Stanish so that she can explain to the entire board the controls that we have in place for payroll.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. As you had mentioned, throughout the year, we typically bring a couple internal control areas to the Finance Committee to explain how we do things and what our controls are. Payroll was on our docket for our last meeting, and also Dixon did come up. Whenever we talk about internal controls, for those of you that might not remember, the finance director in Dixon was able to siphon off about $52 million from that town over a long period of time, and we always talk about how did that happen, where were the controls, could that happen here? It's inevitable anywhere we talk about internal controls that comes up. So one of the main things that happened in Dixon, and one of the main areas I'm going to focus on for our payroll controls, is segregation of duties. It's a common phrase. Anyone in the accounting business world, that we talk about controlled access and segregated duties. So in our payroll function, primarily to get payroll done, it's a combination of HR and the finance department, or I'll say payroll for this purpose. When someone comes on board, our HR department is responsible for setting them up in the system. Our systems are integrated, so anything that's done in HR is controlled by the HR department. Payroll only has read-only rights for all of that information. Setting up a new employee, setting up their pay rates, all comes over from the HR system integrated into our payroll system. From there, payroll has the ability to review the information but to not change it. And likewise, it's similar that the HR department cannot get access rights into the payroll side of the software. So that segregation is really important, and an important control that you have different departments, different people, and the technology puts a strong control limiting access between those two areas. So other than the controlled access, segregation of duties, and I'm giving a broad overview. There's a lot of other smaller controls and reconciling items that go through the process as we're doing a payroll every 2 weeks or setting up employees. But processing, approval, and accuracy controls. The third piece of our payroll system is we have an automated, it's called Time Pro. It's an automated timekeeping system. We do not use the old-fashioned paper timesheets. That allows for entry errors, and the controls aren't as strong. We have an automated system that an employee is clocking in and out, that's required to do that, and their supervisors at the end of a payroll are required to sign off on all of the time worked during that pay period. So that approval process is documented electronically and will not allow to be processed in our system without those approvals in place. If there's time that's outside of a normal system that is set up, it could be uniform allowances, could be bonuses, all of those are initiated through the Human Resources Department. Katie is signing off and bringing physical paper documentation over to payroll, and without that, we would not make any changes in the system. So that's another control that we have in place. And in many of those instances, the executive director is required before even Katie brings us over to sign off on those payments. Another control I'll talk about, now we're to the point where we have information from our automated system into our payroll system. Produces an electronic time card. In the payroll department, we have dual controls. Aside from actually triple controls, we have the managers from the departments reviewing time, the payroll administrator reviews every time card, and then our accounting manager at the same time is reviewing every time card. Once that process is done, a payroll register is generated, which basically is a list of everyone's checks, all their deductions. A second review is done by the payroll administrator and the accounting manager, and if the accounting manager isn't around, then I would be the one to review that. So we have, 3 sets of eyes on all of the information that gets processed through payroll. Thirdly, then we get to the point of management oversight, how our departments, on the front end, departments are managing their overtime, approving that time and approving their schedules. Every department has access to our accounting system and a read-only access. They can't go in and change things, but to every one of their accounts. And we're not even talking just payroll and benefit, but every account that they have access to go in at any time, and they can compare their budget to actual amounts. A step above a staff review is in your monthly treasurer's report, and you have one that you'll be approving in this board agenda. The very back of that report, you'll see a line item budget that shows wages and benefits, comparing actual by fund on a fund level to year-to-date budget amounts. In the front of your treasurer's report, you'll see summary information where we're showing year-to-date compared to budget and year-to-date compared to the prior year in broader categories, not on a line item basis. And lastly, I'll just finish up with internal control review and our independent auditors. There's never a guarantee that they're going to catch everything. Their job is not to determine and find fraud. Their job is to make sure our financial statements are materially correct. However, they do a thorough review of our internal controls. They do walkthroughs of our internal controls, and specifically for their payroll review, they will take a sampling of our employees and start all the way from personnel files, required documentation there, and trace those samples through to the end of an actual pay period and reconciling of what they've been paid on an annual basis. So what I provided you is just a broad overview. I hope you found it informational, and that wraps it up for the oversight on payroll.
Thank you, Director Stanish. And that's it with the Finance Committee update.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. The next update is the Parks and Recreation Committee update. Back to Commissioner Heidi.
Oh, thank you, Vice President Janner. The Parks and Rec Committee met on January 15th, and we discussed a number of items. First was a review of some policies. It was due time to make some small changes to both employee and board policies, and we all agreed that these changes were needed and what's the word I'm looking for?
Appropriate.
Appropriate, thank you. Nothing major here, such things as the number of absences board members could experience before action was taken. We also discussed how we did in 2015 versus 2014, our recreation participation, and we were ahead of 2014, not by a huge amount, but anything positive, I guess, is good. We are having our soft opening of the Activity Center on August 1st, 2016. And you guys add as you see fit, please. February 1st, we went online with ActiveNet. How did that go? Oh, okay, sorry. And I think that's about it. We discussed all of these items at our regular meeting 2 weeks ago as well. And we have our next Parks and Rec meeting the 19th. Thank you.
Well, that'll be a tough act to follow. The next report will be the board president update, and in President Riley's absence, I will read his report and attempt to do so as skillfully as he would if he were here. This past Saturday, we held our annual State of the Park District presentation. The objective of the presentation is to share our accomplishments over the past year and our plans for the new year with those who utilize our services and, very importantly, those who pay for those services. In general, your park district is in good shape, well managed and financially sound. The accomplishments of 2015 and the plans for 2016 should make all of our residents proud. There is one area that I would like to call special attention to, as it often goes unnoticed. The place of volunteers in our operation is generally taken for granted by the general public. These folks are, quote unquote, just there, not particularly visible always. But as was noted this past Saturday, the number, quality, and caliber of our offerings wouldn't be at its current high level without these dedicated citizens. The fact is, over 2,700 people gave their time and talents to the tune of 94,000 hours in 2015 to make our Park District offerings great. We in the Naperville Park District owe a huge thank you to these engaged volunteers. This phenomenon has another important aspect. That is the personal rewards volunteers get from freely sharing their gifts with others. They get to interact with other volunteers and program participants. They get the personal satisfaction of knowing that they have done something positive for their community. Many, many volunteers have stories of a parent of a participant coming up to them, thanking them for doing something special for them. Often the volunteer wasn't even aware of their impact until they were told. It's a very grateful feeling. So think about volunteering. You don't have to be an expert, just someone who wants to help. It can be a rewarding experience. Respectfully submitted, Mike Riley. And now we'll move to the Executive Director's update. Executive Director McGurry.
Thank you, Vice President Janner. The Park District staff has been working behind the scenes to implement a new online registration system called ActiveNet that is designed to be user-friendly, enabling residents to register for a program online from any wireless device in addition to conducting business with us. The new system is now available to be explored at www.napervilleparks.org and by clicking on the new registration system link. Preview spring programs, explore the system, and set up your account before March 7th, when all registration will occur in the new system. There are a couple of major changes to our upcoming delivery of the spring program guide, which is scheduled to arrive at residents' homes around March 3rd. First of all, previously delivered through a doorstep delivery service, program guides will now be delivered via U.S. mail. As part of this process, there will be an opportunity for residents to opt out of the delivery of the program guide if they wish, and exclusively use our online virtual program located on our website. The second change is that the summer camp guide, which had previously been a separate publication, is now included within the spring program guide. The virtual version of both guides will be available on Monday, February 29th at napervilleparks.org. In addition, all spring programs and summer camps can be viewed now on our new online registration system. Registration for spring programs begins March 7th, and registration for our 2016 garden plots and coach pitch, t-ball, machine pitch, and girls softball begins on March 14th. Moving on here, residents are invited to vote for the preferred location and style of music for the 2016 Summer Concert Series. Concerts in Your Park, presented by Continental Motors of Naperville. Concerts in Your Park is a free music series that travels to select Naperville parks, featuring talented bands from across the Chicagoland area that appeal to audiences of all ages. Interested residents may cast their vote through midnight this Sunday, February 14th, online at napervilleparks.org. The winning parks for the 6 concerts in 2016 series will be announced on Friday, February 19th on the Naperville Park District's website. The Naperville Parks Foundation supports the Park District's mission and continues to raise funds for our recreational scholarship programs for individuals and families in need. The foundation once again will receive a portion of the proceeds of the 3rd annual Winter Ale Fest at Frontier Sports Complex on Saturday, February 27th. The event sold out last year, so get your tickets soon at www.napervillewinteralefest.com. And finally, anticipating a busy summer season and the opening of the Fort Hill Activity Center and the Riverwalk Cafe, the Naperville Park District is seeking employees to fill approximately 16 permanent part-time positions, 3 full-time positions, and between 80 and 110 part-time seasonal positions. The district will host a job fair from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. on Saturday, March 5th at the Alfred Rubin Riverwalk Community Center, 2nd floor, located at 305 West Jackson in downtown Naperville. Attending the job fair is a great way to learn more about these positions and to connect with the hiring managers. Interested applicants are encouraged to visit our website prior to the job fair to become familiar with the available positions and even apply in advance at napervilleparks.org/employment. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director McGurry. Next item on our agenda is approval of the Treasurer's Report.
Move to approve the December 2015 Treasurers' Report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Jackie, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidi,
Yes.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
President Riley absent.
Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
If we could pull item G as in Goofy.
Are there any others?
Move to accept consent agenda items A through F and H through N.
Second.
This is a roll call vote. Jackie, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidi,
Yes.
President Riley absent.
Move to approve consent agenda items as accepted.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to unfinished business. Move to approve ordinance number 885 to revise the board policy manual effective February 2016, as discussed at the January 28, 2016 board meeting.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
As I indicated at the last meeting, I won't be supporting this. Item 5.1.2 continues to require meetings at 6 p.m. every other Thursday, and that's doesn't lend itself to transparency nor allowing people to attend the meetings coming home from leaving the city at 5 or even nearby with traffic around here. I maintain that all meetings, as well as all committee meetings, should be held in the evening at 7 or later, or on Saturday mornings.
Is there any other discussion? Jackie, will you please take the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Nope.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidi,
Yes.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
President Riley absent.
Moving on to future meetings, the next meetings of the Naperville Park District will be as follows. Regular meeting on February 25th, 2016 at 6 p.m. in the South Maintenance Facility Lunchroom, 3415 Book Road. After that, March 10th, 2016 at 7 p.m. right here at Naperville City Hall Council Chambers. And the meeting after that will take place on March 24th, 2016, 6 p.m. back at the South Maintenance Facility, 3415 Book Road. We have no executive session tonight at this time.
Move to adjourn the February 11, 2016 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor? I'm sorry,
Aye.
Jackie, do you need to take the roll? No.
No.
Thank you.